we are returning a column on this page, right? And I'll say I'll go and then explain the error here. Okay, so we had at a point have to stop returning a scaffold for each screen that we are serving the navigation bar. We have to go back to that original concept where each screen should return a scaffold. Once the thing is a scaffold, we need to once the thing is a screen, we need to return a scaffold, not a particular body section. There is no mistake corresponding to that. There was an imported package from my previous um project that leaked, so I thought the scaffold was giving me an issue, so there's an update that will needed me to stop returning scaffold. But then for navigation bars, when you are working with navigation bars, the return for each screen should be a scaffold. So we are going back to wrap this with scaffold. Where are you? So it's not here, so we are going to click on widget and then say scaffold, and then in a scaffold we don't have child, right? We have body. So we are going to return a body, and then a body. So on top of it we are going to have a column. Abba should always be at the top here. We've learned how to use this thing, so by now we are tired of how abba works. So we are going to remove this one from the column section and move it up to where it actually belongs here. And then let's refresh our page. Yeah, so it's ready now. So this is what we have. So we are returning a scaffold. We need to always be returning a scaffold instead. So this is a scaffold, right? All right. So the up bar shows, and then this is the body. Let me write body here. Okay, now we want to add a search functionality on top here, right? So on top of the list, before the list, instead of having an up bar here, we are going to have a search bar instead. So search bar on top of the list. This is the list here. On top of, we want to have a search bar, and the search bar basically is going to be basically a test field. Test field, right? So this is going to be a test field, comma, right? Now let's refresh and see what we currently have on the UI. Yeah, so we have a test field here. So if I click inside, I should be able to type things inside, right? They are coming, right? But we want it to make a response. But before that, we want to do a decoration, right? And then input decoration. Basically, then we learned this thing already. Let's open it up and then put a border, right? And the border is going to be input is outline input border, right? That is basically what I'm going to add. I don't want to set color and things. You can go ahead and set color and everything because you learned this already. But then it's too close to the top. I need to add a label, right? So label text, label text, right? There's a string. I'm going to say search chat, basically. So let's run this. So search that. Let me restart. Hot restart itself. Yeah, so it has can search chat. If I click on it, the label goes up, but it's too close to the up bar. So what we need to do is that we need to put a test field. We need to put a padding up around it. So I'm going to wrap it with padding. Right, it comes with default 8.0. So I'm going to keep that, right? Unless we are focusing on the design side. So now it's nicely now done. So there's a full padding around it, and then we can see it. When I enter it now, it's far from the edge. All right. Okay, now this is the pattern. Now that's not all, but we need to add some icon. Let's say preface icon, right? Preface icon, the icon at the start, going to be an icon, icon into bracket, icons dot search. I think search rounded, basically. Comma. Let's run and see if I have it here. I like seeing my UI. Yeah, it's here now, right? So let me do a suffix, just surface icon. So I have icon into bracket icons dot mm, arrow, right, 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 something like that. So let's say if you search on it, it goes or something, or you can redo a close button. Let me see. Let me see what happens. This arrow, so you click on it. No, no, no. I'll do a close. The thing I will do a close dot close. Yeah, so close, close, close. Yeah, so this one is better. This one is better. We will make it functional later on. But right now, the focus is going to be making the search bar so that it's responsive to what we have here. All right. So now we are going to have um, on change value. Whenever the value changes, we need to add that, right? Test field. So inside the test field, outside the decoration, let me close the decoration. You know how to close it, right? You need to go here and close it. Now, inside the test field itself, right? We are going to say on change. When the value change, on change, there's going to be a function that contains the value here. This is what we need to do. So we are going to run a function that update updates the list of users. Update the filtered users list. Okay, so this is what we have now. Let's get back to the top. See, it's currently a stateless widget and we are using a test field inside. Test field, things are going to change. Since things are going to change on the page, a test field, a stateless widget will not be appropriate. You need to change it to stateful widget. So you click on this, on it, on the name, right? You click, then you click on the lamp, and then it's convert to stateful widgets, and then it will do everything for us. It has done that. If you are starting, you need to start with a stateful widget because you know beforehand that you are going to do a search thing on this page, or there's going to be a change occurring on this page. So use stateful widget. If it's read only page, use stateless widget. All right, so we just converted this back. Now we are converting back to that. We don't need to keep the list variable here inside the build. Now we are going to copy everything here and send it outside. Send it outside. We are going to send it outside where between the override, the build override, and then the, so you see where I kept it. I kept building this space on top of the build, always like that, top of the build, right? This is the original list. So let me call it original list. Original list. Okay. Now, this is the original list that we should never touch the original list, right? The original list is the source of truth, right? So what happened is that we are going to keep the full original list and not the UI need not to be listening to original list. Now we need to a place where when we are doing the searching, right, there's going to be another list that will a filtered list that will be holding the updated search. When you search for something, you are going to copy it from search that thing from the original list, put into the filtered list, and the UI will give us only the filtered list. So what we should be looking at on the UI should be inside the filtered list. But the original list is somewhere at the background. That's the source of truth. That's it, like that's the database, that's the source, right? Now you need to actually have another list that is actually showing the result, the current result on the page. So the list that will be showing the current filtered result on the page, let's call it uh, filtered list, right? So S is going to be a list. It should be of the same data type as the the original list, string, dynamic. Then we have filtered users, right? We're going to keep an empty list here, right? So what we are going to say is that okay, the page now should not be listening to original list, but we should be listening to the filtered list. This is what we are going to be showing on the UI. This is what we're going to be showing on the UI, not the original list, right? Because there's going to be a search. So when we search, the search is going to look into the users and say, okay, does it exist? Okay, if it exists, let's give it to the filter users list, and the filter users will be the one to update the UI for us. When we clean it, there's nothing also shows that. Now, but right now it is empty list. So we are going to say that okay, if you come to the page for the first time, if you come to the page for the first time, make sure that you show the full list first. You're going to show the full list first. right? The full list should be in the filtered users. So the filtered users at the beginning should contain the full original list until the user begins to do the search, right? When we start the page, when the page shows for the first time, make sure that at that moment you show us the full list first before you begin to do the search thing, right? But then we need to, that means that we need to update at the beginning the filtered users with their full original list. Okay, so we don't touch the original list as well, right? It's source of truth. We pick from there, put it inside the filter users, and the filter users will take it and send it to the UI. Okay, so now where we go to, we need to add initiate the filtered list with the full original list. We need to start that when we get on the page. So what we need to do, like, we are going to use an override as well. Override. What are we overriding? We are overriding a function for word init state. Then inside it, we are going to say that the filtered users, right? Users will be equal to the users. And then we say super dot init state. Very important. So what's happening here is that the void init state is for a screen, allows you to set or set some variable, set some grounds, right? Set up some stuff before the screen shows. Okay, that's what happens. So each screen that has any screen that has the init state set up inside the init state, you need to submit everything that you want to set at the beginning before the screen is fully built, right? So initially, this is what is going to happen. That's what the init state does. And the super.init state is very important because it's going to, this particular thing is relying on a parent variable in Flutter, a parent class in Flutter, right? That's it. Because this override, we are overriding a function, an inbuilt function, right? That's what is happening. Okay. So, but this is what we want to update basically. But this one is important. At the end of your setting up your variable thing, make sure you call the super init state. Without it, see what will happen? There will be an error. We haven't seen the super init yet. So we need to go back and initiate it before it works. So initially when you get to the page, this thing should be the one to show up. Now let's go to tell the UI. So right now the UI is still listening to the users. How do we know? You need to go to list, right? The list builder. What is the list builder showing? It is listening to the user. This is a user's length. So we need to change it to the filtered users dot length, and then current users inside here is going to be filtered users dot length, right? Let's refresh everything and see what we have. All right, so it's now done running. So you see that we have the full list again, right? So right, so yeah, that's what's happening. And then there is this search thing that's here. Now if you type right now, nothing shows, nothing is working, right? Because when we type inside the text field, we are not doing anything. So you see inside the this thing, we are going to update, right? So that means that we need to write a function that will be doing the update for us, right? So we are going to call it filter update function here. So this is a function that will tell what will happen, how will it do it, how will the update be done. We are going to run that. It's going to be a void because it needs not to return anything. It just needs to update the filtered users from us based on what the user has entered, right? So we are going to um, search true. Let's just call it search true, right? Search true. So you're going to take a string. So let's call it, it's going to be a keyword, right? You're going to take a keyword. So now, right now I'm not doing it. So what we are doing is that this function, we are going to call it such a way that it's going to take the keyword, that the current keyword that the user has entered. And then when the person does that, what happens is that we are going to search. Now let's see this thing. Let's go back here. Inside the update filter, we are going to call that search true function. And that search true function will take the value as the argument. This value is coming from the value inside the text field, right? So that's what we are taking. We are taking it and we are searching through, right? That's what's happening. And then currently, if I run it, nothing has changed because we are not done writing the full function yet. Nothing is going on inside. right? So it's still, when I search inside, nothing is working. Okay, so let's go back to, so now we know that the test field is ready. Let me close the decoration. So I close the decoration, and then the test field is working. The onsearch thing is here. The test field is ready. We just added the padding, right? So the search bar is fully set. But now we have the expanded, right? That's the list. Now let's go to the search through function and open it and start this thing. Now, driver list. So driver list, let me list, um, map string dynamic results equals to an empty list. So what's happening in here is that we are going to add a driver list. So look at the users list, the original list, as the source, right? And the end, the the destination list is the filtered list, right? But between that, whenever the person enters a keyword, we need to fetch the right ones from the original list and send it to the filtered list, right? Without breaking anything. We are not going to delete or modify the original list. We have to make sure that the UI is only showing the full final list, right? So we need the driver list that will be copying whatever we have from the original list and send and use it to update the one inside the filtered list, and the filtered list will expose it to the UI. So there are three things: original list, the driver list, and the destination list. The destination list is the filtered users list. That's the final users list that needs to show on the screen at every point in time. The driver list, that's the middleman that will copy the result, that will copy the search results from the users list and transfer it to the users. You need not to do it directly. You need not to do it directly because the user is entering things. A lot of things are happening behind the scenes. So we need to keep the current list intact when you have the final result before you update the created results, right? So that's what we need, these guys need to do. But then we have to run some conditions, right? If nothing is inside the the search bar, or the user has not entered into, so if the keyword that the person entered dot is empty, right? If that keyword thing is empty, nothing is entered, what happens is that we are going to say, okay, if nothing is entered, let's return the original. So the result is going to copy the entire user's list. We say that the result is who is the middleman. So the result will first go to the original list and say, okay, we are searching. What do I need to search there? So if there's nothing is entered, please give me the original list. Let me give it to the filter list. If nothing is searched, right? We are, because we want to show the full original list. We want to see the full original list, basically, right? That's what we are happening here. That's what is happening here. If the keyword is empty, if the keyword is empty, we are taking the full result and sending it to, we'll send it to this thing. We are updating the key result with that. So right now the result variable, the middleman, is at the original list side. So if the keyword is empty, give it the full list. If not, that will be like else. Else, what happens? What should happen? Right. So now, if the keyword is entered, what then happens? We are going to loop through the user list, loop through the original list, right? We are going to look through the original list, and then for update results list with the um, users that match, basically, right? So now we are going to look through, right? Let's go through the users list, and then on each item of them we are going to see, okay, do you contain the keyword, the keyword that we are looking for? Do you have a portion of it? Do you contain it, right? If you contain it, then let's add it to the result, so that the result variable will send you to the created users. Okay, so now how do we run that? We need to say, if, no, no, for each item, so it's going to be a map string dynamic user in users, right? So what is happening is that we are saying that for each item, for each user in users, right? So each user in user, for each item in users. So what's happening here is that this one we need it because we need to state, okay, each item inside, right, is each item in this thing is what is of which data type, is a map. So if you go back to the users, you can see that each item in inside is a map. It's a list of maps. So each item is a map, right? This is what's happening here. Each item is a map like this. So we are saying for each item, for each user, that is a map. For each map user inside the users list, is a list. This is the list for each map item inside the users list. That's what's happening. So for each of them, right? First, we are going to take the name. String name equals to user, that user name. We are going to take the name, right? So for each user, we are going to take the name, right? And then we are going to say if that name dot contains the keyword. If it contains the keyword, then we need to add it to the result dot add um, user. So what's happening is that we are taking the username, check if that user contains the keyword we are currently looking for. If positive, if true, add that user to the results list to be sent to UI. So that's the logic. That's what's happening here. So for each user, right, we are going to take that the name, right? We are going to take the name and check if that user contains the keyword, right? If that username contains the keyword, if it contains the keyword, then we add it to the result user because the result user is the one that will send. So we are currently updating the result user, the results list. Okay. Now, if all that is done, right, at the end of everything, when everything is done, what you need to do is that we are going to update the filtered list. So we are going to say filtered users will be equal to the result, right? That's what we are doing. So now at this point, the result is now going to be sent to the filtered users because this is what the UI listens to. All right, as we said, you see the list view dot builder. We say that it's listening to the users, to the filtered users. So now when the result, this result variable, we are using it on top here. It's just a middleman, and you can see that it is actually just updating and taking the users and things. When you are done doing everything that you want, everything is ready. Come and use it, give it to the filtered users, right? That by that way, we don't break anything. Everything is safely done. You need to actually understand this logic. It's very, very important, right? Okay. And remember when we are using the search through, we are using the search through function where we are using it inside where are you? Yeah, inside the text field, and the search field has a unchanged field, and that unchanged field will give us the value, the current value, and that's the current value. That's our keyword, and that's what we are passing through our search through. We are passing it here, our search through, and now our search through keyword, right? And that function, what does the function do? It will take the keyword, right? Get the driver list. It will get the driver list. It will do what again? It will update it if the keyword is not empty. If the keyword is empty, or it will do all these things and match the correct one, corresponding ones. All right. Um. Okay. So this is what we have currently done. Let's refresh and see if this will work. I'm not expecting it to work, but if it works, that will be magic. I'm not expecting it. So I'm going to search. Okay, I'm searching. It's not working, right? It's not working. It's not currently working. Why? It is actually working because we are using a stateful widget, right? And then if we want to see the UI, we want to trigger the UI to update immediately. We need to use what? Set state. Remember, we used set state. So we are going to copy this and put it inside the set state, right? That's how we, so that the UI will now update according to, so the set state will trigger the UI to a update. That's what it was going to do. So we are going to run this thing again. So let's see R. You see the R. When I type R, everyone that contain R, Grace contain R, Francis contain R. Let me do S. S. So S here, S here, S here. Let's see P. Nothing shows. Nothing shows now. Right. I clean it, and then when I clean it, the original is come. But when I type something like A, all of them contain A. Let's do F. Okay, this is a problem. You see, I think enter F, nothing, but there's Francis there with F. Then I enter T, there is Stella with T, right? Let me enter S, it's come. If I enter S, you see that Stella is gone. Stella is gone, but Stella could start with S, right? Let me enter with B, Benjamin doesn't come. Let me enter with G, Grace doesn't come. Why? Because these are, we are entering small letters and these are capital letters, right? But that should, you should know, if I enter capital B, then you see a response. But if I enter small b, it doesn't respond, because we need to make sure that you don't have to give users that stress, right? You need to make sure that before you even do that, you need to convert the keyword. You need to convert the name. You have to compare the lowercase of the name. You have to compare the lowercase of the name with the keyword dot lowercase. You have to convert that name to a lowercase before you do dot contains, right? And then, so you have to compare the lowercase of the name against the lowercase of the keyword itself, because users can enter anything. Make sure that in this place is consistent. Whether the user enter a capital letter or this thing and we have it, make sure that we strictly return, and except special cases where you want the user to enter specifically, respecting everything. But right now, for this common searches, right, you need to make sure that you take the lowercase and compare lower cases, because user can enter anything. Let's now update. Okay, I'm now starting. Do F, Francis show now. B, small b, Francis show. Capital B, Francis, Benjamin show. Capital F, Francis shows. Capital B, Francis shows. Small g, Grace shows. Capital G, Grace shows. Stella is always there. It doesn't run away now, right? If I do small t to Stella, so it shows. When I do home, you see it shows home. But if I enter anything else, it doesn't show, right? Okay, so that's how to do the search function to be based responsive. Now the next thing is going to be that when we enter something is not correct, we need to show something nicely here. We need to show something nicely here, so that, like, user not found, user not what, user not that. Yes. But right now, this, we have done the search functionality, which is fully working and very responsive. All right. Now let's see. Let's go through once more again. We have the original list that we stopped, like we started using. We don't touch it, right? And then we have a filter user, which is going to be our destination. And that filter list is what we now use to update the UI, the list view. You can see that the list view is currently now listening to the filter users length and filter users index that we built from the previous sessions. And then when we do that, we now brought our search bar at the top. A search bar at the top here, and the search bar is just basically a text field. The padding was necessary to prevent edge collision, right? Now, so then the test field was there, and then there's onChange function that took the value, and that value we are running through a set through function, and that set through function is what we prepared at the top here, right? This is what we prepared at the top here. It takes a temporary driver list, right? Update it accordingly. When it's done updating and doing everything, then it's updates. You use the set state to update the filter user. The set state was necessary to trigger the UI update. Just there to trigger the UI update, and the filter user result will actually be responsive then. And then remember, don't forget to add the init state. This guy, init state, so that when we leave this page and come back, let me leave. I'm going here and I come back. You see that the full list is come because of this guy. Because of this guy. Now let me just try to let me comment it out. Let me comment it out, and then you see this, right? You see, at the beginning, nothing shows because there's not any system. Our this thing is empty. Our this thing is empty. So let me just search for something. You see, it shows when I delete it, it comes like this. So this is not. responsive. So you need to originally have this, right? Then you run this. Is it important? Why don't I just give it here at the beginning? Okay, let's give that. Is it really necessary? It's not going to work. It is not going to work because at this session we don't initiate anything at this particular beginning. We need to use the init state because that field is not a function. This particular field here is not important. It's not a place where you write functions and be assigning things. If you want to assign things, use the init state at the beginning, right? Right. So the assignment of one variable to another doesn't directly happen here. Right now we have assigned something that we have somewhere. But having a variable and trying to assign it to another variable over here is not going to work. So we are going to use the init state mostly. Right. That's how the init state works. So I hope now this will work in your app as well, where you also be able to do your own search functionality. And then you will leave mine for me. Yeah. Let me see. Let me refresh. Yeah. So I can go to another page and come back. And then at the beginning, everything is sorted and fully done for me.